Let's talk about human growth hormone, HGH. You've probably heard about it, right? Maybe as some kind of miracle anti-aging formula, or maybe in the headlines of a major sports scandal. Well, today, we're going to cut through all that noise and get to what's real. So what's the real story with HGH? Is it a powerful medical tool, a risky performance enhancer, or is it something else entirely? To figure that out, we've got to start with the basics, what it actually is and what it does inside your own body.
All right, let's get back to square one. The first thing you really need to understand is that HGH isn't some foreign substance. It's a powerful, natural hormone that your body's been producing your entire life. It's literally part of your own growth blueprint.
And it all starts right here in the pituitary gland. I mean, look at that. It's this tiny, pea-sized command center at the base of your brain. And this is where your body makes somatotropin, which is just the scientific name for HGH. It's the master signal for growth and maintenance.
But your body doesn't just flood itself with HGH. No, it has this incredibly elegant system of checks and balances. Think of your hypothalamus, another part of your brain, as mission control. It sends a signal to the pituitary, which releases HGH. That HGH then tells the liver to kick out another hormone, IGF-1, that actually triggers growth. But, and this is the brilliant part, that same IGF-1 goes right back to the brain and says, okay, we're good for now, shutting the whole process down. It's a perfect, self-regulating feedback loop.
And this brings us to a huge misunderstanding about HGH. It is not just about getting taller. Sure, when you're a kid, that's its main job. But once you're done growing, once those growth plates in your bones fuse, its mission completely changes. In adulthood, HGH becomes your body's maintenance crew. It's all about regulating your metabolism, holding on to muscle mass, and keeping your bones strong. It's about upkeep, not just buildup.
So that's how it's supposed to work. But what happens when that perfect, self-regulating loop, well, breaks? That's when we get into the medical side of the story, and where HGH therapy can become an absolute necessity.
And the way this deficiency shows up is completely different depending on your age. For kids, it's pretty obvious. They just don't grow at a normal rate. But for adults, the problem is much more insidious. It's not about your height anymore. It's about a slow metabolic collapse. You start gaining fat, you lose muscle, your energy just tanks, and your risk for serious health problems like heart disease goes way up.
And that is exactly why synthetic HGH was created. It is a legitimate, life-changing, FDA-approved medicine for a very specific list of conditions you see right here. For people with these issues, this isn't some vanity project or a lifestyle choice. It is absolutely a medical necessity.
But getting to this safe, modern therapy? Well, the road to get here was anything but smooth. In fact, the early history of HGH is kind of a dark and fascinating story that completely changed the way we develop medicine.
Can you believe this? For decades, the only way to get HGH was by physically harvesting it from the pituitary glands of human cadavers. So supplies were incredibly limited. Then, in 1985, disaster. It was discovered that this process could transmit a fatal, brain-wasting illness called Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. The program was shut down practically overnight. But that crisis lit a fire under researchers, forcing the rapid approval of a brand new, lab-created version that was perfectly safe and, crucially, could be made in basically unlimited quantities. That moment changed everything.
And of course, once we had an unlimited supply of safe, synthetic HGH, well, that opened up a Pandora's box of possibilities and a ton of controversy that went way beyond its intended medical purpose. And this is really where the science and the hype collide. The logic went something like this. If HGH helps maintain the body and vitality in people who are deficient, what could it do for a perfectly healthy person? That one question fueled a massive, billion-dollar industry of what we call off-label use.
But here's the thing. The actual medical establishment has been sounding the alarm for years. And look, this quote isn't from some obscure blog post. This is the editor-in-chief of the New England Journal of Medicine, one of the most respected medical journals in the world. The message is crystal clear. For healthy people chasing youth or performance, there is zero proof it works. And worse, we have no idea what the long-term risks are.
And we're not talking about some vague, far-off risks. The short-term side effects are very well documented. We're talking about real, chronic pain in your joints and muscles, swelling in your arms and legs, carpal tunnel syndrome, and maybe most concerning, a higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. This is what can happen when you start pushing your hormone levels far beyond what your body was ever designed to handle.
So with all this risk and all this controversy around injecting pure HGH, it's really no surprise that people started looking for a different way, a smarter approach. One that was less about replacing a hormone and more about getting the body to do the work itself.
Enter peptides. Now this is super important. Peptides are not HGH, not even close. Instead, you should think of them as messengers. They're these short little chains of amino acids that travel to your pituitary gland with a very simple instruction. Hey, time to produce a little more HGH. They don't take over the system, they just gently prompt your body to run its own natural cycles.
And this table really lays out the difference perfectly. Traditional HGH is a replacement. It's a system override. It just floods your bloodstream. Peptides, on the other hand, are a stimulant. They work with your body's natural rhythm and pulses. And that fundamental difference explains why everything else is so different. The side effects, the cost, even how you can get them. You know, here's probably the simplest way to think about it. Direct HGH therapy is like taking a big bucket of water and just dumping it into a glass. It's messy, you have no control. Peptide therapy, on the other hand, is like gently turning on your body's own faucet and letting it fill the glass itself at its own pace. It's a huge difference in philosophy. Are you replacing a part, or are you just helping the whole system work better?
So you see, the story of HGH is really one of constant evolution. It went from being a natural hormone to a risky medicine to a synthetic game changer, and now to this whole new world of subtle stimulation with peptides. Which leaves us with a really big question for the future. When it comes to optimizing our bodies, do we focus on replacing what's lost, or do we get smarter about learning how to guide the body to heal and regulate itself? The answer to that is still being written.